Okay, today we're doing Mod 3 Lesson 5, and the objective was subtract fractions of unlike units by using the strategy of creating equivalent fractions. We're going to continue using our models in order to create equivalent fractions, but we're going to change how we're actually marking the model up a little bit because of subtraction and not addition. Our essential question you think about as we're doing this, so you can respond after the video, is how can I subtract fractions with unlike units using the strategy of creating equivalent fractions? Now let's think about like we did before. Before we were talking adults and childs when we were trying to add them, and we couldn't add adults and children because we didn't have the same unit, such as in a like denominator. Now, let's take this, 3 boys minus 1 girl. I can't subtract 1 girl from 3 boys, okay? Just not possible. So once again, we're going to sit there and we're going to change it. We're going to change the category so we have like units. So what we could change it to would be people. 3 people minus 1 people. And yes, I know Miss Beamo would not like us saying 1 people, but this is math and we're trying to get like units, okay? So when we have 3 people minus 1 people, we end up with 2 people, okay? Now let's see how we can apply this. Here's a fraction that we're subtracting. We're subtracting 1/2 from 1/3, and we've already got them modeled. Now, just like we did in addition, we're going to segment our different models. Our 1/3, excuse me, this is 1/2 here, not 1/3. So we're going to take our half and we're going to split it into thirds. We're going to take our thirds and we're going to split that one into half. What that did is it created us an equivalent fraction because now we know 1/2 is also equal to 3/6. And over here, our 1/3 is also equal to 2/6 because it's 2 shaded out of a total of 6. Now, this is where the difference is going to come in. We created these in order to subtract them. We're taking 1/3 from 1/2. So we can see 1/3 was actually 2/6. So we're going to subtract 1 2/6 from the 3/6. And we end up with 1/6. So we know 1/2 minus 1/3 equals 1/6. All right, so go ahead and try this one on your own. Pause the video and do it in your notebook. And when you're ready, go ahead and start the video back up again. Okay, so here's 1/3 and we're subtracting 1/4. First thing we're doing is create an equivalent fraction. So our thirds we're going to split into fourths. And our fourths we're going to split into thirds. And the equivalent fractions we ended up with, we can see we have 4 shaded. We have a total of 4/3, so that's going to be 12, 4/12. And on this side, we have 3 shaded out of a total of 4/3, which is 12. Now remember, we're subtracting 3/12 and 4/12. So our 4/12 over here, so we're going to subtract that 3/12 from it. And we end up with 1/12. So we know 1/3 minus 1/4 is equal to 1/12. All right, here's our next model. Go ahead and give it a try. Start it back up when you're ready. Okay, so I have 1/2 minus 1/5, and we're going to take our fifths over our halves, and then we're going to take our halves to our fifths. And that created an equivalent fraction over here of 5 out of 10, 10 being the total, 5 being the shaded. And on this side, we ended up at 2/10, 2 shaded out of 10 whole. Now, we're subtracting 2/10 from 5/10, so we come to the 5/10, we're subtracting 1 2/10. And that gives us 3/10. So we know 1/2 minus 1/5 equals 3/10. Okay, go ahead and give 2/3 minus 1/4 a try and start it back up when you're ready. Okay, so here's 2/3, 1/4. We're going to split the thirds into fourths. And then we're going to split our fourths into thirds. That gave us our equivalent fractions. Now we can see we have 2/4, so it's going to be 8 shaded at a 3 by 4, so that's 8 out of 12. And we're subtracting, we got 3 shaded, and it's a 3 by 4, so it's 12. So let's go up to our model, and we're subtracting 3 twelfths from 2/3, well, from 8 twelfths, it's equivalent. So we take off 1, 2, 3 twelfths, and we can see that's leaving us 5 twelfths. So 8 twelfths minus 3 twelfths equals 5 twelfths. So that also means 2/3 minus 1/4 equals 5 twelfths. All right, now we have 1/2 minus 1/7. And as you can see, as the denominator gets bigger, it's harder to draw these models. So make sure you draw your model large enough so you can see it. Start back up when you're ready. Okay, so here's 1/2, 1/7. Now I'm going to try to draw my sevenths as well as I can. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to have to put an extra one in here. There's 7. Okay. Now over here on the sevenths, I'm going to cut them in half for halves. So over here now I have 2 by 7. So I can see I have 7/14, because 14 total. And I'm subtracting, I can see I have 2 out of 2 by 7, which is 14. So when I come over and I subtract my 2/14 from my 7/14, when I count them up, I can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 14ths left. So 1/2 minus 1/7 is 5 14ths. Now our next model is 4/5 minus 2/3. Go ahead and give it a shot and start me back up when you're ready. Okay, here's 4/5, 2/3. And we're going to take our thirds into our fifths. And we're going to take our fifths into our thirds. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, on our equivalent fraction here, we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 by 3 for the shaded, so that's 12. And we have a 5 by 3, so it's a total of 15, so 12 out of 15 shaded. On the next one, we have 2 by 5, so we know there's 10 shaded here out of 15. Now we're subtracting 10/15 from 12/15, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So now we can see that we had 2 15ths remaining. So we know 4/5 minus 2/3 is 2 15ths.